Report of Trust, an all-new podcast series brought to you by Galaxy Surfactants Limited, a leading player in the world of surfactants and specialty care ingredients for home and personal care industry.
It's a popular saying, what gets measured gets managed. According to a recent survey by the UNGC, 80% of the C-level executives interviewed believe sustainability is a way to gain competitive advantage in today's global market. Considering the ESG factors gives investors a more holistic view of companies, which can help them mitigate risk and identify opportunities. Reporting sustainability data has therefore become a crucial part of achieving certifications and gaining investors. Welcome to Galaxy Surfactants' first ever podcast series, Report of Trust. I'm your host Isha Patwari, and in today's episode, we're going to talk about the investor's perspective. The topic of today's discussion is how to use transparency and sustainability reporting to enable responsible business practices. And who better to discuss this than a fund manager himself? We therefore welcome Mr. Chintan Haria to discuss on this topic with us. Chintan Haria anchors product development and strategy at ICICI Prudential AMC, where he is responsible for driving new and existing products to augment business growth. His core competencies include research, portfolio management, market intelligence, strategic asset allocation of investors' wealth, and development of products across platforms. Chintan regularly interacts with distributors and investors across India and the globe. Welcome, Chintan, and thank you so much for coming on our podcast.
Hi, Isha. It's a pleasure.
Chintan, I'm going to start with a basic question here. How important is it from an investor's perspective for a company to disclose their sustainability report? Or how do you distinguish between a company that does sustainability reporting and the one that doesn't?
Sure. So this whole concept of going green or sustainability or word which is used the most is ESG, environment, social and governance. If we see what's happening in Europe, all the asset management companies, that is the people who are managing money, are mandated by the regulator to ensure that their money is being invested in compliant companies. In other words, those companies which meet the ESG norms. The ESG norms, when they say, essentially it is being rated on many parameters, right? It is being rated on how you are running the company in terms of the affluent treatments that you have. That is the environment impact. Second is how well are you treating the stakeholders. Third is how are you interacting with everyone around you and internally with your employees. So all of this is being given a lot of importance because how you do business will ultimately lead to essentially how well you grow. And if you see the company itself, Galaxy Surfactants, it's a very large company present in more than 80 countries with so many products. It did not achieve that without probably focusing on this. So here we have a live example of how a company can grow. And it is not at the cost of profitability. So the whole objective of sustainability or going green is not that you have to probably let go of your profitability. In fact, it has been seen abroad as well as in India. The companies which are strong on sustainability, on ESG, and they are able to basically also grow much more and profitability is much more. So the investors are attracted to those companies. So from an investor perspective, any company, any corporate at any level, the more they disclose how sustainable their business will be, the better it is from an investor standpoint to be able to invest in it. So the more transparent you are, the better in terms of your ratings, and the better your ratings, you'll be able to get investors across India, across the globe to invest in your company. And it's not just about the investors investing in your company. You basically will also get a larger amount of people, companies, corporates globally as well as locally who would want to do business with you.
That's a wonderful point, Mr. Chintan, when you speak about how any sustainability activity does not have to be at the cost of profitability. What a great start to this discussion. This brings me to my next question. When we talk about responsible businesses, what are the companies that are known to be doing responsible business? What are these companies doing differently that sets them apart from any other company?
Yeah, so if we see the companies which are growing, in fact, the last point which you mentioned about the profitability or not coming at the cost of profit. You can see probably the return on equity and return on capital employed of your own company, and you'll be figuring out that more than 20% ROC, ROE of a company which is doing business in the right manner, it's not bad at all. Because the people with which you will do business, the companies which you will do business, will definitely reward you for the ability for you to be sustainable, because everyone wants the entire ecosystem to be in a manner which is good. So if you as a company are strong enough and doing business in the right manner, it reduces your risk of a regulatory shutdown or something going wrong in terms of your own company. So the supply chain of your distributors, the supply chain of your clients does not get messed up, or it does not get lost out. And so everyone is happy in the chain when sustainability is at the core. So we believe that the companies which are doing business, and what does sustainability mean, you ask? Sustainability from a company perspective is very simple, that you have to ensure that whatever processes you have, whether it is raw material purchase, whether you're using the technology, all of it should be such that its environment impact is the least, and you basically harm the environment as less as possible. And more importantly, in fact, people are moving towards a scenario where they become carbon positive. In other words, through the planting of trees and through the use of water recycling. In fact, some of the companies actually go to the extent of becoming water surplus in terms of their processing of water or recycling of water. So I think it's an overall ecosystem. We are seeing a lot of companies go the solar power route or the renewable energy route, putting up windmills, etc., for their energy requirements, so that their coal usage comes down very sharp. But if we see the gold standard companies or companies which are proactively doing it, they are the companies which are probably respected well across the investor community.
As you very rightly described, a company that is high on sustainability and disclosures is respected or not. Report from an investor's point of view is very important, as an investor borrows his knowledge of a company primarily from audit reports and other secondary sources. I therefore think you're the best person to ask this question to. What, in your opinion, is the future of sustainability reporting? In fact, business reporting in general.
Sure. So, no doubt, globally we are seeing every company moving towards the highest disclosure standards, and the reason is very simple. The more you report, the more it is picked up by the rating agencies, and the more transparent you are, the better your ESG or let's say sustainability score goes up. And if you have a high sustainability score, that scores well with the investors, that score well with your customers, clientele, as well as those who supply to you. For example, if you invest in solar power or if you invest in windmills, by virtue of they being, let's say, renewable energy, it entails a capex cost, but the benefit that you get in terms of lowering your, let's say, energy cost and also lowering your environment impact is significantly higher, because the entire ecosystem around you benefits out of what you do. So any company which has taken up sustainability and environment conscious approach very seriously has in fact been the biggest beneficiary themselves. So doing it for yourself and doing it right will help all the companies grow, because all your stakeholders will ultimately not leave you, because it is very difficult to find sustainable companies as such. And if you're proactively reporting it, it becomes a very good tool to engage with your business partners and expand your business as well. So the investors are happy, no doubt, and investors are looking to invest in only those companies which are sustainable. In fact, if you see, the amount of money residing in ESG funds or ESG oriented funds is growing at a rapid pace. Even in India, if we see the environment, social governance related ESG funds, many of them have come up. They've seen their, AUMs grow significantly. And with the new generation coming in and the existing generation also being more and more aware of environment, sustainability reporting is one of the strongest selling points for any business which wants to go global or which wants to grow in scale across all the stakeholders.
These are very interesting points, Mr. Chintan. You've mentioned the term ESG a lot. ESG stands for environment, social, and governance. I've also read this term a lot of times when I go through economic times or any kind of business conversations these days. I have two questions, okay? Why are investors and bankers so obsessed with this term ESG? A. And B, Is ESG, in your opinion, a fad, a trend, or a mega trend?
So, if you talk about the last part, is ESG a mega trend? Recently, I think Bill Gates in one of his interviews has mentioned that the next 8 to 10 largest companies, like the FANG companies, could be from the space of climate change, right? So, clearly, ESG or let's say companies which are environment conscious or doing things within the environment is not a fad. It is something which is here to stay. And over the last 300 years after the Industrial Revolution, the kind of, and not just industrial revolution, I'll say it's industrial revolution plus urbanization plus the forest cover loss that we've seen, all of that has meant that the earth is let's say precariously positioned in terms of global warming as well as ability to feed 900 crore people. All of this means that there is no choice but to focus on environment, social and governance across all sectors, across all industries. ESG is not specific to any industry. While in the common parlance, ESG is considered to be inclusion of all the sectors, all the industries across. So if you look at electric vehicles, that's changing the way auto industry does. If you look at the energy industry itself, through use of more solar or hydrogen, the energy industry is changing. Across the value chain, even chemical companies for that matter, right? They're trying to find ways and means to ensure that the impact on the climate of everything, all processes is reduced. So ESG as a term, which is environment, social and governance, it is an all-inclusive term. While you did mention that investors and bankers are obsessed with ESG, the fact is that that obsession will only increase given the fact that without an ESG, the companies which are not ESG compliant or the companies which will probably falter on ESG, they will go down the curve in terms of their prominence, their popularity with investors. While those companies which are doing business in whichever sector they are, if they are focusing on ESG and ensuring a better way to do business, their popularity and prominence and in turn their market capitalizations, their market performance will improve. So they will not just gain market share, they'll also get, in fact, it's governments across the world are wanting companies to basically do business in a sustainable manner.
Wonderful points, Chintan. Your perspective has certainly encouraged our listeners to start their own report of trust by now. My final question to you is something that we've been asking all our guests so far. That what is your piece of advice for our listeners to make their own report of trust?
Sure. So the first thing is that one should inculcate in the DNA of all levels of management within your organization that if we do not do business in the right manner across environment, social governance, across all stakeholders, our own ability to grow will probably be reduced. So if we want to grow and if we grow, all of us benefit. The only way is to grow in a sustainable manner, and the easiest way to reflect upon something is to showcase it by a way of a report, right? Ultimately, whatever we do, when it is coming out in the form of a report, we come to know exactly where we stand. And when you come out in the form of a report, it also allows other people to reflect upon it and give us suggestions as to where we can be. So from a suggestion or an advice perspective, it is very clear that all companies across all sectors, across all, it's not small company or big company, it's about how well you do business. And the smaller the company, in fact, probably it's easier to implement the environment conscious approach towards doing business, and the sustainability report can be that much easier because the more diversified you are, there can be many, let's say, moving parts which you need to take care of. So it's not about the size of your business, but it's more about the quality, the sustainability and the longevity of your business which matters.
So ESG is the way to go, as Mr. Chintan Haria, our guest, mentioned today. Chintan, your inputs have been very crisp, very to the point, and as interesting as they could be. Thank you once again for coming to our podcast series.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Report of Trust. If you enjoyed our podcast, please do like or share and let us know about your thoughts on sustainability reporting in the comment section.